Captain Vex pressed his scaled palm against the bridge viewport, watching the distant enemy armada grow larger with each passing hour. The Galactic Council's defense fleet hung in space like broken toys, their hulls scarred from 3 days of relentless assault. Smoke trails leaked from damaged vessels, and emergency beacons flickered desperately across multiple frequencies. "How many ships do we have left?" Vex asked his communications officer, though he already knew the answer would bring no comfort. Lieutenant Kai consulted his tactical display with trembling fingers. 47 operational vessels, sir, down from 200 at the start of the siege. The Drac Empire had struck without warning, their black warships emerging from hyperspace like a plague of locusts. Their technology surpassed anything the UO Council possessed, and their ruthless efficiency had shattered every defensive line within hours. Now the last remnants of civilized space's military might cower behind the shields of Outpost 7, a remote station at the galaxy's edge. Commander Ellis of the human delegation stood quietly beside the captain's chair, her weathered face showing no emotion despite the dire circumstances. Humans were still newcomers to the galactic community, having joined only 5 years prior. Most species considered them primitive warriors from a backwater world, useful only for manual labor and ground combat. "Any word from the Council's reserve fleets?" Vex inquired, though hope had long since abandoned his voice. Kai shook his head. "The Drac forces have cut off all major hyperspace routes. Even if reinforcements were coming, they couldn't reach us in time." Through the viewport, the enemy fleet began arranging itself into attack formation. Massive dreadnoughts moved with predatory grace, their weapon arrays glowing with lethal energy. The Drac had no interest in negotiation or surrender. They sought only total annihilation of the Council's forces. "Sir," Kai's voice cracked with panic, "enemy vessels are powering weapons. They're preparing for final assault." Vex closed his eyes, feeling the weight of billions of lives hanging in the balance. If this fleet fell, nothing would stop the Drac from sweeping across Council space, enslaving or destroying every world in their path. Suddenly, the ship's proximity alarms began screaming. "Captain!" Kai shouted, his voice filled with confusion rather than fear. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected, massive displacement readings coming in from Sector 7. The viewport filled with brilliant flashes of light as dozens of ships materialized from hyperspace. But these weren't the sleek, elegant vessels of Council design. These newcomers were angular and brutal, their hulls covered in armor plating and weapon emplacements. They moved with mechanical precision, forming battle lines with practiced efficiency. "Who are they?" Vex demanded, studying the unknown fleets. "Configuration." Commander Ellis stepped forward, a fierce smile spreading across her face. "Those are human vessels, Captain. Earth's third fleet by the look of their formation." "Impossible," Vex protested. "Humans don't have ships capable of military engagement at this scale." More ships continued arriving, destroyers, cruisers, and massive carriers that dwarfed even the largest Council vessels. Their design philosophy emphasized function over form, with every surface dedicated to either protection or firepower. Paint schemes varied from ship to ship, displaying the flags and symbols of different Earth nations united under one command. The lead vessel, a behemoth bristling with missile, pods and rail cannons, broadcast on all frequencies. The voice that emerged was calm and professional, carrying the distinctive accent of Earth's military commanders. "This is Admiral Blake of the Earth Defense Force. All Council vessels maintain current positions and prepare to support fleet operations. Track forces, you have 30 seconds to begin withdrawal proceedings before we engage." Vex stared in amazement as the human fleet continued deploying, their numbers already exceeding his remaining forces. How did they get here so quickly? The hyperspace routes were severed. Ellis chuckled grimly. "Humans don't use the standard hyperspace corridors, Captain. We punch our own holes through space-time. It's messier and more dangerous, but it works. When conventional routes are blocked." The Drac Armada hesitated, clearly surprised by this unexpected development. Their commanders probably assumed these primitive newcomers would be easily swept aside. That assumption proved fatal. Admiral Blake's voice rang out again. 30 seconds elapsed. "All units, weapons free. Target priority, enemy capital ships. Show them why Earth doesn't back down. The human fleet opened fire with devastating efficiency. Their weapons weren't based on energy beams or plasma cannons like most galactic civilizations used. Instead, they hurled solid projectiles at incredible velocities, turning kinetic energy into pure destruction. Missiles streaked across space in coordinated waves, overwhelming Drak-point defenses through sheer volume. The first Drak dreadnought exploded in a cascade of fire and debris, its massive bulk torn apart by sustained rail cannon bombardment. Its escort vessels fared no better as human destroyers closed distance with reckless courage, trading armor for killing blows. Remarkable, Vex whispered, watching the tide of battle shift dramatically. Their tactics are so direct. Ellis nodded with pride. Humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years, Captain. We learned long ago that sometimes the best strategy is overwhelming force applied precisely where it hurts most. The Drak formation began collapsing as more of their ships fell to human firepower. Their advanced shields and armor, so effective against Council weapons, proved inadequate against solid projectiles traveling at significant fractions of light speed. Human fighters swarmed through the gaps, their pilots displaying the kind of aggressive maneuvering that would have horrified safety-conscious Council commanders. Within 2 hours, the mighty Drak armada was reduced to fleeing remnants. There, survivors limping toward hyperspace with human pursuit ships harrying their retreat. The threat that had seemed insurmountable just hours before had been broken against Earth's military might. As the last enemy vessel disappeared into hyperspace, Admiral Blake's image appeared on the main screen. She was younger than Ellis, with steel-gray eyes and short-cropped hair that spoke of military efficiency. Council forces, this is Admiral Blake. The immediate threat has been neutralized. We'll maintain patrol operations until Council reinforcements arrive. Captain Vex found his voice after several moments of stunned silence. Admiral, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I thank you. But I must ask, how did Earth mobilize such a fleet so quickly? Blake smiled with the confidence of someone who had faced impossible odds before. Captain, when humanity joined the Council, we were told to expect the best and prepare for the worst. We took that advice seriously. The Third Fleet was already on deployment exercises when your distress call reached Earth Command. She paused, her expression growing more serious. Besides, we have a saying on Earth, nobody fights alone. When our allies call for help, we answer. That's what being human means. As the human fleet settled into protective formations around the battered Council vessels, Vex realized that perhaps the galaxy had underestimated these newcomers from Earth. They might lack the elegant technology or refined culture of older civilizations, but they possessed something equally valuable, the unwavering determination to stand with their friends against any threat. The Drak Empire would remember this day, and they would learn to fear the sound of human ships dropping out of hyperspace.